Everyone, happy Tuesday. So today I have lovely Kirstie joining me to speak about interior design online and offering interior design services online. So both of us have online businesses and we're going to speak about that in more detail today. So we have prepared questions for each other. I'm just going to wait for Kirstie to send the request, and I've got that in here. And she will. Right. Any second. Hi, Kirstie.
Hello, Stephanie. How are you doing?
I'm good. Nice to meet you. Nice to see
you too.
I've got my iPad because I've written all the questions here, so occasionally I'll just be looking into. So I have already introduced you, but perhaps you can do even better. And I think maybe we can start with my first question to you because it's very much about your company and what you do. So I think I will start with a few questions and then we're just going to alternate like we usually do on any other live stream. So I was really interested to know about your company name. I think it's a fabulous name. Out why did you name it Iconic Interiors and how did that happen?
Well, I wanted to name it something quite short and snappy, and I've always whenever I try and do kind of any project, I try and incorporate some part of a personality into it, obviously. So the reason it's Iconic with a K is because of my first name, Kirstie. So I wanted to change the C to a K because I thought that would be quite fun and quirky. But also, like, the word icon it means sort of widely admired and a great influence. And I wanted to have that mirrored in my business. I wanted to show what you would be getting when you buy and you work with Iconic Interiors. You're going to get an interior that is memorable. It's going to influence others. It's going to be something that other people admire. You know, sometimes people see things in magazines and go, oh, I want that house. That will be your house. So that's kind of what I wanted to incorporate into the name. And having a bit of alliteration there with the I and the I was just a bit of fun as well.
I think I really love like ambitious names, you know, if that makes sense. And I think this one's ambitious as well. And I think it's great, to be honest, because I notice a lot of interior designers, they either name it like you have, or they choose like their surname, which I think that's what people use. Yeah, so I was sort of interested to know how did you come about with that? And perfect. So since we're going to speak about interior design online, I wanted to find out if you are currently offering online consultations or maybe face-to-face or both.
Yeah, so I'm offering both. So obviously because of the pandemic and COVID, things just kind of took a bit of a turn and everything went far more online, which is really great because actually you get a few different types of audiences online as opposed to just doing face-to-face. But I do offer both, and I do find that everyone has their preference. So some people prefer to do things fully online. They like the experience of having the Zoom. Zoom has become so much more popular since COVID as well. So everybody has that accessibility these days, whereas opposed to maybe 18 months ago, people weren't as knowledgeable about that. So people like to be able to kind of bring that influence to their home as well and to have something a lot easier and quicker to do. But kind of for the I want to say old school, but for the kind of the thought of interior design and the core behind it, it's always fantastic to have that face-to-face consultation and experience because you really get to see and understand the client a lot better. So there's kind of, I do offer both, and I do find customers prefer one or the other. It's kind of, it's completely a personal preference.
I see. Okay. And I know this is not the question that I mentioned when I was sending my questions to you. I was wondering, when did you start? Did you start offering consultations before the pandemic, during? How did that start?
Yeah, it was before, and I started off with face-to-face, as you do, because that was something, I mean, I'm a complete people person. My previous job to this was I was a personal assistant, so I've always had that personal aspect. I'm a problem solver, and I love just interacting with people and just having a chat, really. Sometimes it's always good, isn't it? So I wanted to have that personal aspect. So I started off pre-pandemic, actually, my business, and I was working full-time as a PA. So I was doing evenings and weekends doing consultations, and I loved that. And then obviously the pandemic hit and everybody, or some people took more of their business online, or every business went online. So I wanted to take that offer online a bit further. And I found that the response was huge and people really loved that. So it's great to be able to offer both, particularly now in the UK, you know, restrictions have been eased.
Yeah.
Whether I agree with that or not is a different story, but having like the proper precautions in place to have face-to-face consultations again is great. And to be able to, as I said, have that, you have the personal aspect with online, but to be able as an interior designer to actually walk in the space and feel the space and to see how the lighting works and to see how the layout really works without having to ask your client to turn their camera around is a huge investment and a huge plus.
Yeah, no, definitely. So as the restrictions been lifted, you're slowly getting back to getting more like face to face.
Yes, yeah. Although to be fair, I am finding that a lot of people that have a lot of customers are coming back for a kind of repeat online consultations because they really enjoy that experience too. It's interior design is a business that can be universal and it can be done anywhere because you, as long as you have that communication and the conversation and you know what your end goal is, as a designer, it's a pleasing process no matter where you do it. It's just personal preference as to what people like. And some people have been carrying on with the online and some people are so excited to go back to face that they actually waited during COVID to be like, hey, look, I'll save a bit more money and I want to come back to you, but when I can actually interact with you face to face and you can actually come here and take a really good look. Because some people really enjoy that aspect too. If you're going to have a big project and it's going to be the whole renovation of a home, you want to definitely meet your designer face to face to be able to have that personality and that experience and bounce ideas off each other. Because at the end of the day, if you're doing a large house and a big renovation, you'll be working with each other for quite a few months. So you want to make sure that you work together well.
Yeah, no, 100%. And you have already finished your interior design studies, or you're kind of combining both work and studies at the moment?
I'm kind of combining both work and studies. I'm just at the end of it actually. So it's great. I used COVID as I did kind of everything during COVID really. I did my studies, I worked full time, and I did this. Yeah. I did my business as a kind of a side hustle for most of it. And then I just kind of went, you know what? I was having to actually turn clients away. And I don't want to do that. And I thought, I want to do this full time. It's always been my dream. I actually posted a post on my Instagram a couple of days ago about a kind of my journey through interior design since being a little girl. And I've always been involved in everything. Yeah, I've always been involved in like everything. My dad was a builder and a plumber. My dad was like an amazing handyman. He did everything, and he did it as his profession as well. So whenever I asked him something, it was never too big. He knew exactly what to do and how to do it. So I learned a lot of my kind of trade knowledge and trade skills through him. One of my old friends' dads used to ask me what to do with his boiler, and I used to know what to do with his boiler because what my dad would tell me. So it's one of those things that you kind of, I'm sure anyone that's watching that has a builder or plumber in their family, you tend to kind of soak it in and not realize it. So it's always been something that's been there, but kind of during COVID, I just thought I can do this and I want to do this full time. And I took the jump and I'm so pleased that I did.
Yeah, no, it seems definitely like you're doing something that you love, and it's amazing, to be honest. And the way you have combined everything together as well, education and your work and, your business. I mean, I did the same thing as well. And it's not easy, but, it's rewarding.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you want it, you work hard for it, and it's like you say, if you're that passionate about something, it doesn't matter. It's just, some people say, there's no time. There's a lot of time. It's how you use your time and how you work with your time and how you prioritize it as well. And whether it's kind of getting up early or going to bed later or, slotting out times in your day to really get that one task done, it's manageable. It's just having the passion within your belly to really just go for it.
Yes, definitely. I cannot agree more here. Right. Should I continue with my questions, or should
I'm happy to ask you some as well if you want to mix it up a bit.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So when I was having a look, when we kind of initially started to have a chat, I wanted to know quite a few key questions from you actually, which is why I wrote them down. And my first one is, what are the advantages of learning to sketch online versus having a face-to-face tuition?
Yeah, so that's a great question. No one has actually asked me that before. I was doing live workshops before the pandemic hit. So I used to live in London as well for 11 years.
Wow.
then I just decided to leave and to go traveling, but that's a different story. During the pandemic. Yeah, I was doing different workshops, and I was kind of testing the ground of what people would be interested in, because I'm an artist by education as well, and I was sort of like wanting to try out different topics like architecture, interior design, how to sketch, I don't know, tiles, whatever. So I was just trying out every single thing that I can to see what people are interested in. And eventually I figured out that it seems like people are very interested in architecture and interior design. So sketching interiors, basically. So if you was to ask me what are the advantages of learning online, I would say that, first of all, you know, anyone can join from anywhere in the world, right? Like, you need internet connection, which most of us have. So obviously that makes it very accessible, because before I used to do my workshops in central London. So in order to attend my workshop, you had to travel to central London to one of the cast art stores where I used to do it. And obviously, you know, spend the day there and learn, which again is a great thing, right? I mean, we all miss that during.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Have a day out somewhere where we can just leave our computers and, you know, forget about problems and then just you know, whatever. That is kind of like, I think it's an advantage that anyone can join now. You know, I have international students from Germany, from Canada, from US, you know, and everybody now, which is a great thing. I think another advantage would be the cost. It's cheaper than attending a live session, because live session, I need to get all of the materials for every single attendee who's attending, plus I need to get a transport to get there, and you know, all the
absolutely, it adds up.
Even though you end up earning more, which is definitely an advantage, but you also end up spending more energy and more time and more effort.
Definitely.
But doing it a whole day or whatever, 2 hours preparing it and stuff like that. So that's that. Also, based on how I used to do workshops, I would have like a group of 10 people, and they would never really see me sketching, because I didn't have time to actually sketch out. I had to help them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So now see how I do it and just repeat after me. And I try to make my workshops very short and simple, so you don't really need any help. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need someone trying to help you out and stuff like that. So I think there are plenty of advantages, maybe, but overall, I think it's definitely a good time investment, money investment, and everything in general. Hopefully that answers the question.
No, definitely. And I was also just thinking as well, when you do something online, you can actually appeal to lots of different learning styles as well. So obviously face-to-face is great, because you get that personality, as you were saying, but when you're doing it online, you actually have, you know, you can have downloads, you can have visual, you've got hearing. Everybody learns in different ways. And as like you were saying, sometimes it's easier to do it online as well, because particularly for a tricky bit, you can sit and pause it and wait and sketch out, and you can you don't have to ask the same question, or everyone's asking you the same question at different phases of the draw. So so I completely understand, and that makes complete sense.
Within your own time and at your own pace, basically. So
absolutely, and which is really important, particularly for something like sketching, because some people can just think they can be so overwhelmed if some people are further ahead than you are. I was at a technical drawing workshop a couple of weeks ago, and which I loved, but the pressure of so basically at the end, cut a long story short, you have to trace everything out, do everything in different tips of pen to make sure you are going with the guidelines and the regulations. And some people were zooming ahead, and other people were having to have a new piece of tracing paper about every 10 seconds because they kept smudging it. And those people were like really like, oh, Sarah at the front of the class is doing so well, and you're like, do you know what? It doesn't matter. Everybody learns and does things at a different pace. So actually having that online escapism, I guess, can always be a good advantage.
Definitely.
And so kind of going from that, how powerful do you think it is for clients to be able to see, a hand-drawn sketch of their room or their layout before a renovation takes place? Because that is like, amazing.
I love this question, to be honest. I can talk about it forever. So sketching, I personally, and I think a lot of people will agree with me, all of my students will agree with me, and maybe other people who want to learn but just didn't get time yet to do it, is that sketching is very quick. So again, I don't know maybe how many hours it would take potentially to create like a 3D model on SketchUp or something, but I assume that it's much harder and more time consuming than it is to sketch. Yeah. So again, sketching comes in different forms as well. You can sketch for 5 minutes, you can sketch for an hour, for 2, and for 3. But the main goal is to be able to do it quickly. Yeah. The more you do it, the quicker you will basically get. Yeah. So yeah. So I wouldn't say like practice makes perfect. I would say practice makes you quicker. What I tend to say. So I think sketches are very atmospheric, and you are able to translate quite a lot of the like the mood, the character of the space, and everything through the sketch. You know what I mean? Like by using specific colors, by applying highlights, and everything like that, shadows. You know, so you're kind of like creating that character in a space. Because if you're looking like at AutoCAD or I don't know, any other kind of like a black and white sort of rendering, you don't get these lines and scale and whatever. SketchUp, yes, you can sort of like create the room and it looks 3D, but they all look the same. You know what I mean? Yeah. Sketching, you can differentiate it in so many different ways, and you don't have to do it like everyone else is doing it. You know, you can develop your own style eventually if you persevere with it and you do it often. For interior designers, it's definitely speed. Like you can sketch in front of the client here on the spot. So you demonstrate your professionalism, you demonstrate that you know what you're talking about. So instead of saying, okay, give me one day, I'm gonna go home, create this
and
on a
create
computer.
it, yeah.
You're doing it there. Yeah. And you know, you need confidence for that. But to be honest, I mean, confidence comes from within, right? It's not about how much you learn. It's about how you feel about yourself. So being able to sketch in front of the client, I think is very important. And it would definitely result in, you know, a success. I personally think so. And I have cases where it has. Yeah. So I think these are kind of like the main advantages of sketching, but there are a few more that are kind of like more minor, but these are like the big things that really make a difference, I think.
I completely agree. And from like an interior designer's perspective as well, I think at the end of a project, it's always nice to be able to give your client a housewarming gift, particularly if you've done like a full renovation, or if you've spent a long time redesigning a room, redecorating a room. And if you have stood and done that initial sketch and you're able to kind of frame that within the taste of the room and give that to them and go, hey, this is what we started with X amount of weeks ago, and this is what you've got now. Like, I am a huge fan of like personalized things. Everything in my house has a story. All of my artwork has a story. And everything is bright and colourful. So to be able to kind of create something like that on the hop in front of your customer, and then potentially give that to them as a housewarming present, or as a room warming present, or something at the end of it, to kind of go, hey, look, this is what we started with, and this is what you've got. Like, I think that's awesome.
Yeah, translating the idea. You know, sometimes I would say at least 85% of people are visual, right? Like, we like to see images.
Definitely. Yeah.
Like and I think the idea of kind of visualizing like for an interior designer to visualize their idea in front of the client also helps the client to understand how the room will potentially look, even if it's just done in like pencil, you know. It's still
definitely
see what's going to happen there. I think it's definitely a great skill to have and use it in many different ways. So
yeah, I couldn't agree more. And it's, as I said, as you said, people are visual people, and we all like to see something in front of us, as opposed to, I can stand and describe a particular cushion that I've seen for about 20 minutes, and people will be a bit like, that is not, if I draw it, they'll be like, that is not what I was envisioning in my head. So yeah, so it's a huge tool to have.
Yes, definitely, 100%. Right. Shall I carry on with my question to you then?
Yeah, please. Yeah, absolutely.
So I have asked about when did you start the interior design career, and you said that was before the pandemic as well. So how different would you say is an online design service to face-to-face consultation? What are the advantages here and disadvantages as well?
Yeah, so they're quite different in terms of the personality and the personal side of it, purely because one is face-to-face and one is online. And you tend to find that the advantages that you get of the online consultation, for example, it's quick, it's easy in terms of you just kind of click your laptop on, you're there for an hour, 90 minutes, and you click it off. And then in a week's time or 5 days' time, you get, you know, the report that we've discussed. It can be cheaper sometimes as well. Obviously, if there's quite a big consultation and they're looking for quite a big cost, I have to drive maybe somewhere for an hour, and that incurs driving fee for me. So it could be cheaper to have something online to be able just to kind of click on and click off and have that result at the end of the day, which they're really happy with. It's the same service no matter what, for me anyway, from my business. It's the same service whether it's face to face or online. But in terms of the like the online aspect, the client needs to help me out, really. I need you to kind of show me your room, show me the camera. It's really funny. I actually had a client in COVID who we did a colour consultation for her dining room, and it was during when all of the schools were at home. So she was homeschooling and she had 5 children under 10. So they were all in, and the biggest space was her dining room and her dining table. So they were all at this dining table. So we were actually having a colour consultation while she was on the laptop in her bedroom, and she had to come downstairs and like show the dining room on her laptop to me. Which was easily done, and thankfully she kind of sent me some pictures in advance for me to have a better idea and feel of the room and stuff. So it worked out really well, and she was really pleased. But it was just one of those funny moments where she was really apologising for her sons and daughters just like sitting at the table. And I'm like don't apologise, it's absolutely fine. It's your house, you know, we're working around it. That's fine. So for kind of people with really busy schedules, having that online aspect is really just, that's what draws people to it. It's saving of time, saving of money, and saving of energy as well. But in terms of like the disadvantage, it's not as personal. The face-to-face is really nice, as I said, to kind of get to know people and to have that personality side of it, you know, full on and in front of you. And for an interior designer to kind of be able to walk in from a personal aspect, from me, it's nice to be able to gauge where the lighting is in the room. So I can stand there and go, okay, right. So I can actually see and feel how the lighting is. I can see the space and I can feel the enormity or the smallness of the space to be able to gauge how I'm going to start to redesign this up. Whether that's just a colour consultation or it's something where we're looking at adding in furniture and we're changing the lights and everything. So from that kind of aspect, having the face-to-face, it's more of a personal, but it's more of a hands-on approach for me, I guess, which I really love. That's kind of why I love doing the face-to-face aspect. And it's good for those that are kind of more tech phobic. There are some people that just really don't want to do this stuff over Zoom, which I completely understand. And I mean, whenever I do any consultation, I always take my paint samples. And if I do an online one, I actually send the paper sample, the paper product sample to my customer beforehand, because I do not trust online colours. They don't look how they should. Yeah. It doesn't look right when in terms of paint, particularly the paint suppliers try and say, oh, it's absolutely fine. It's not. They don't look the same. And it's really good to try and see the different finishes as well. So with a face-to-face, I can actually kind of stand and have that conversation and we're looking at the same thing. We do that when we're online, but sometimes it's not as personal to be able to kind of stand and to have a conversation and look to each other and kind of get that feeling. Also, from an interior designer's perspective, the advantage of face-to-face is I can really get a feel of the rest of the house. As soon as I walk in, I can see the kind of interior they've got. I can see how they've decorated other rooms, and I can see kind of what their personality is straight away from what their accessories are, how they've previously decorated. And that really helps me kind of get my creative juices flowing and see exactly how I'm going to change this room and what we're going to do. But obviously one of the disadvantages of face-to-face is that you have to find the time to be able to do that, to, you know, let me come round, have the hour, 90 minutes to be able to walk round. We have the discussion, and sometimes for people that can be harder to schedule. For example, for my late, I'm sure she won't mind you, her name was Claire, I'm sure she won't mind me saying that, for Claire in oh my goodness, when was it? I think it was January this year when all the kids were still at school. It was very cold here, I remember that much. And for Claire, when I was going around and she was having to like walk me around her house, that was super easy for her to schedule. She might have felt a bit like, oh my goodness, but I didn't think anything of it because it really suited her and it was the right thing for her at the time. For me to come and do that face to face would have been really difficult given the situation, even if we weren't in COVID. You know, if her children were in school holidays or she works full time, it's a lot easier to be able to have that kind of evening, weekend online availability. So I hope that answers your question. I know I threw quite a lot at you there, but I hope that makes sense.
Find out if when you're doing an online consultation, do you still visit the house in person, or you are able to complete work without doing that?
Yeah, so when it's online, what I do is we have a kind of a pre-call, and my clients fill out a really quick 2-minute questionnaire just to give me an idea of which room we're looking at and if there's colours they absolutely love and colours they absolutely hate. Same with room restyle. They kind of fill out a really quick consultation form to tell me the styles they love and the styles they hate, and everything has like pictures and stuff, so it's a lot easier for people to kind of decipher that down when they're not 100% sure what their style is, because a lot of people these days also don't really know. There's so many different styles, and I'm not a believer in, you know, okay, well, we're just going to go for modern, or we're just going to go for French classic, or we're just going to go for traditional. Like, style is individual, and style is about what you make of it and how you interpret that, and that's different for everybody, which is why I love to be able to kind of have these pre-chats and pre-calls or pre-meetings to get to know people and to understand exactly what they're looking for. So with the online version, I kind of have that chat, find out their paint, if they've got paint preferences and their budget for that as well. And I send over the paint samples in advance so we can look at those face-to-face together, even though we're on Zoom. And we can go through the same things together, and we then kind of have a look. We have a chat about colour, we have a look through the room. I might have a few little recommendations just based on where we could potentially move furniture to make that easier. If it's just a colour consultation, and we'll go through the different colours and the different types of colour and complementary colours, and we'll pick that scheme that really suits their home, their personality, and how they want that scheme to come across. And sometimes they come in and they absolutely have no idea, and I'm just like, hey, that's my job, that's what I do. So don't worry.
Well, for me, exactly the same for me. When I get orders for sketches as well, most of the clients don't know really what they want. They just want a visualization of a room, but what style, whatever, they've got no clue. So I get that information out of them. And same with my students as well. Sometimes I come across people and they might not necessarily even know that such niche exists, you know, interior sketching. Like, they maybe always wanted to do it, or maybe they never thought about it, and now, you know, when they came across my page, they think, oh, actually, that's very interesting. You know what I mean? So it's quite interesting. I think businesses like are different, and clients are different as well. So, and would you say clients who use your services, would you say they are all kind of alike, or they're all different from client to client?
They tend to have the same problems. So a lot of the, you know, a lot of people think interior design is just about aesthetics, and it's not. It's about so many other things. You know, it's about solving problems. It's about creating a function, health and well-being. It's about sustainability. There are so many different aspects involved in interior design. And I think sometimes when people start to kind of come to a project and to decide they want to change their living room and change the paint or change everything about it, it can be quite overwhelming, and it really is. There are so many different types of paint. There are so many different places to buy furniture. There are so many different contractors you can hire. Like, you know, it's a minefield really for people that really don't have the time or the energy to be able, or even the money. You know, buying sample pot after sample pot after sample pot gets expensive. It wastes your time, and it takes up your energy. And sometimes it makes people even more confused. I had a lady once who had bought 15 sample pots, all different types of grey, and in the end we chose blue. So she didn't want grey at all, and that's why it just wasn't working. So you tend to have people with the same problems. I wouldn't say they're the same type of people. I've had families, I've had couples, I've had younger couples that are kind of working professionals in London. I've had older couples that have just decided to kind of re-renovate their house after their kids have moved out. So
Yeah.
It's kind of different types of people coming from the same place of frustration or just lack of time, lack of energy, or sometimes people just want that extra nudge. They want that kind of validation that what they were thinking of was actually right.
Yeah.
And a lot of my clients have kind of thought, oh, I'm not 100, I wanted to go a bit dark, but I don't know, and I'm not sure. And I'm like, no, that'll be great. I'm gonna show you how great that's gonna be. So, and you can, as you draw a quick sketch, or you can go on to, if you're doing more of a detailed floor plan, I can create something and show you. And they're like, yeah, I was really worried that it wouldn't work, but it looks great. And that's part of my job that I love, because some people just really, they're so kind of caught in a knot that they don't quite know how to unravel that. And I'm just like, hey, that's what I'm here for. So just let me help you, and it'll be fine.
Yeah, no, that's great. Really, it's great. And my last question was about how do you find clients, or how do clients find you? Maybe it's both. Maybe you find them, they find you. But how does that work for you? Like, where do these people come from?
So a lot of people come from recommendations, which is fantastic for me, because I am someone that will always kind of look for recommendations or ask my friends first, which is great. A lot of people come from social media. I post a lot on social media, and I'm really active, and I give lots of free advice and help, and I go in different Facebook groups and Instagram posts and stuff, and just kind of make myself like, hey, you know, give advice here and there, and just help people out, because at the end of the day, it's nice to be nice. As I said, I'm a people person. I've always been a problem solver in life, so you can't just kind of turn that part of your brain off. So it's always nice to be able to help people. And then we kind of strike up conversations naturally. It's not something that comes it's not kind of from one place or another. It's generally kind of through Facebook, through LinkedIn, through Instagram. I'm the same tag everywhere. So it's Iconic Interiors, so Iconic with a K, Interiors, across all social media. So it's easy to find me and to kind of to follow through different platforms as well, which I think makes it a lot easier for people.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think with every business, the word of mouth works like perfect.
Yeah.
If only there was more word of mouth, if that makes sense.
It's true. We need more people to kind of write reviews and to rave about it. And, you know, when I buy things these days, particularly since I started my own business, I always write a review, and I'm always like raving about things, because you realize as a small business how important that is to help everybody out, because, you know, particularly during COVID, people were having a really hard time of it, and you want to make sure that you're promoting the businesses that you love, and the only way to do that is to tell people about it.
Yeah, 100% reviews. They make me so happy as well, you know.
Well, I saw some of the reviews you were sharing today on your stories, and they're amazing. So yeah, like, of course we want to share those and get them out there, because it's not just about, hey, this is my business. It's I'm doing what I love, and I want to help you, because this is what I love to do. And I know that, you know, if you've got a problem and I can solve it, let me help you. And it's kind of as simple as that. It's really down to the knuckle of it. And it's kind of, I think that's the same for any business. You're there because you want to help people. You want to help solve that problem that people have. And if we can do that, then let's do it. And let's promote everybody.
Yeah, let's I'm the same person, you know. If I enjoy something, or if I see that someone needs help, I'm always there to kind of provide that 100%. And I actually, another question that I wanted to ask, which I didn't include, is about when you have that initial conversation with a client, do you start charging from the very first moment you get in touch with a person, or you have that consultation, which might take, I don't know, 20 minutes or something, and then the person decides whether they want to use you as an interior designer, you know, if that makes sense?
Yeah, of course, yeah. So it kind of, the process differs depending on what people are looking for, to be honest with you. So for the colour consultations and the room restyle, so the colour consultation is basically me helping you pick the right colours for your room that suit your personality, that suit your room and the home. A room restyle is a bit more, so you could be looking to completely change everything about the aesthetics of your room but keep all of the furniture, or you could be looking to change everything in your room, and that's where I help you. And then I have a third tier, which is like the iconic interior design, which is complete renovation of a room, of a home, of multiple rooms. So it's kind of 3 different layers. And for the first 2, so for the colour consultation and for the room restyle, people tend to just book directly. And this is kind of how how much easier it is in terms of having online business. I have a scheduling link on my website and through my Instagram, and people just go book directly. They can pick the time that suits them, and it's just an upfront cost. They pay that, and we have a 60-minute consultation, and then I go away and I do all of my work, and then I send it to them about a week later. And we have, between that kind of online booked consultation, I have a pre-call with them just to kind of say, hey, because I always like to know people and to get to know people. So I have to give them a quick call and just introduce myself and get a better idea of what they're looking for. And between that time and the call, we then have the call. And as I said, I go away and come back with their full, with their full floor plan, mood board, layout, written specification, dependent on what they've wanted to buy. Whereas with the iconic interior design, so the full design and renovation, that starts with an initial consultation. And the initial consultation is chargeable. And then after that, it's price on application, basically, depending on what you're looking for and what services that you're going to provide. I think one of the things that I noticed the most when starting in this is that every single client is different. Every single person's needs are different. And there's no point of having a standard, this costs this, in terms of big renovations, because some people want to, my dad was a builder, so I might want to hire someone to come and tell me what paints to use, but actually I've got somebody that can paint it because I'm married to them or he's my dad. So some people want different things. So it's all about having that initial consultation, which is chargeable, and then after that, kind of sending out the proposal and then taking it from there.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I remember when I also just started, and just in general, I think you probably experienced the same thing, is when you initially set up the cost for your services, you start quite low, right? And then you realize I increase the price. And with each client, you think, no, you know what? I'm going to start. You know, I don't know if you have the same, but I'm going through this still, even though I've been doing BehindCanvas for over 2.5 years now, and like I keep wanting to raise the prices because, you know, I value my time, and I think you probably have the same.
I saw your post on Instagram the other day actually about time, which was a great post, and how a lot of people are undercharging. So and I just completely resonated with that, because I thought, particularly when you start out, and that's fine, you know, if you're a newbie in any business, it's always good to get recommendations from friends and family, to do a few services for free, to get those testimonials, to get the feedback, and to also make sure it's something that you really love to do, because having the idea and actually having the actions behind it, sometimes they don't merge. So kind of having that initial period where you're just starting off and kind of getting on the runway is really important. And I completely resonate with what you're saying. Then as kind of the more clients you get, the more experience you get, the more knowledgeable you become, the more you kind of go, actually, I feel like I could be doing better here, and, you know, I'm not going to give that away for free. And sometimes friends tend to kind of want the little bit of advice here and the little bit of advice there, and which is fine, but then it gets to a point where you go, okay guys, like, I love you, but I just need to tell you that this is the 16th time this has happened. So like, and I've had to do that too. So I've been through that whole process.
Yeah, and it's something that many, I think, businesses also don't speak about the struggles and the challenges that you have behind this pretty picture, you know, and how clients sometimes are very difficult, and sometimes they're amazing, you know, they're so great. You go to bed and you just, you know, thank the world for such amazing people. You know, it's like, I had both, you know, difficult and amazing. So I guess you have the same as well. I think with every business, it's very similar. I think in terms of my questions, I'm done. Maybe we will have more at the but should we alternate, or?
I've got some more questions for you. I'm ready and raring to go. So
let's do it.
So one of the things, so when I kind of, and when we came across each other, I obviously, as you do, you go on each other's websites, you have a look at services and stuff that you give. And one of the things I really wanted to know is, like, during the pandemic, first of all, have you seen like a rise in demand and change in what was popular? Because I'm assuming, you know, before the pandemic, you had the one course that was number one and popular. And has that remained the same, or has that changed because you've got a lot of different people kind of come into the online world?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, but I think I can't really compare here because before pandemic, I did not have an online business at all. I had no presence. Like my whole online presence was built during the pandemic. And actually every single student that I have is basically through this, how long this pandemic has been, 1.5
Too
years,
long, yeah.
2 years.
Yeah, nearly
Yeah.
2, yeah.
So for a year, basically everyone who I had for a year when I was doing on face-to-face events, like neither of these clients attend my courses now because I used to do a different thing, and it used to be more of a like an activity, like a social activity rather than an actual technical skill that people wanted to learn. And when the pandemic hit, I needed to sort of switch to online. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do because I was doing urban sketching primarily, and I just started doing perspective courses, and I saw a lot of interest in that. And that was in March, literally a few weeks before the whole situation. So I had to figure out quickly what I wanted to do. So a few weeks went by, and I started doing Zoom sessions, and I focused purely on interiors, and I saw lots of interest in that. And some days I had lots of bookings, some days I didn't. And as we all know, summer is not the best period as well, with August kind of end of July. But May was like amazing month considering I had absolutely zero audience for interior design kind of related workshops. May like was the best month for me last year. And that was like literally during the pandemic. So yeah, when it all started, people really wanted to kind of like take off the stress and take off the anxiety.
Yeah, definitely.
Adapt to different, and I did the same.
Yeah, me too.
You know, so I think it was sort of like the best time kind of for me. Yeah. But now it's a bit different because people are starting to adapt to this whole situation, and it's not as scary as it was back in March 2020. I'm really
20, yeah.
Yeah, so now it's different, and I actually opened the academy in January 2021. So that's when I actually opened the academy. So before that, it was purely Zoom workshops. So basically, I had to kind of like start from zero, if that makes sense, all the time. And the reason why I opened the academy is because I saw interest, and I wanted to enhance the quality of my workshops because Zoom did not allow me to get amazing quality out there that people wanted. Plus, still, people had to attend on the time, like from 6 to 7 or on Mondays or Tuesdays, whatever. Even though it was pre-recorded, it was still not the same. So I wanted to enhance the product. I wanted to make it better. And I opened the academy. So I stopped doing Zoom completely. And I opened the academy where everything was pre-recorded in like HD quality. So yeah, so basically it's been since January. So I can't really compare if there was like a demand or not, but I can definitely say that in the beginning of pandemic, definitely there was huge interest. Now it's kind of like depends. Some weeks are amazing, some weeks are just I'm thinking what's happening, like, you know, did I do something wrong? Or August, I'm not expecting much from August as much as I want this month to be an amazing a great month for me. So I'm kind of like learning to accept that inconsistency in that sense. So yeah.
Well, I have to say that is amazing. Like looking at your feed and how everything's set up, just kind of starting that from COVID, from like a year and a half ago. That is incredible. Like hats off to you. Amazing, amazing work.
I keep thinking I'm like failing every day.
No. It's hard. It's so hard. As you were saying, people's wants and needs have changed. People aren't as you said, they're not as scared as they were. And it's not that we want to, you know, it's not that we want to take advantage of that. It's just that, you know, it gives them something to focus on, and it gave them something to take their mind off of things. And that was so, and it still is really important for people to have that kind of mental health break away from everything and to do something they really want to do. I think a lot of people forget that these days, and they kind of get into the rut of life. And I can see some of my friends and some of my family kind of getting back into that rat run of life and kind of coming away from the, not necessarily chilled times, but the times where they really took the opportunity to just do something for themselves. Yeah. And it's so important to do that.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think a lot of people had to sort of transition as well. I mean, for most, I think my students, for instance, interior design is their second, like it's like their career change, like they're changing their life now in the middle of a pandemic, and they're learning a new. So, you know, I think for everyone, it's been kind of like a push to do something else and to like kind of see, you know, where you can what you can potentially do and what you potentially can enjoy. So, yeah, it's been quite interesting time, to be honest. And definitely a lot has been learned. And I also think that it's quite good results for me, considering that, you know,
amazing. Yeah, you should be so you should be so proud. That's amazing.
So much. Yeah, that's just a little background about how this whole situation started.
My previous job was working for a coach who helped people build online courses. So I have a bit of experience. I was her personal assistant, so I have a bit of experience in that and the process of of people building that and taking it from scratch, or from a non-online business, you know, like you were face to face, and then with the Zoom calls, and then taking everything and making it more automatic and easier for people to find and to achieve as well. So I do know some of that because I used to be in that industry. That was my full-time job when I started my interior design company. So yeah, that is huge success.
Thank you so much. Oh, we need that kind of like praise. Okay.
It's always good to hear, isn't it? Because you know, our families and our friends and even our clients tell us these amazing things, but sometimes it's, you know, like you said, when it comes to summer and everybody's out having great times, which is what we want, but people aren't as looking, you know, they're not looking to do the thing, you know, looking to buy courses or looking to have their rooms and houses renovated. It does become, you do kind of sit there and think, am I doing something wrong? Am I okay? Did people understand my last post? Did they like, so yeah, but I think we just need to be proud and to be confident in what we're doing. As they say, confidence is key, and we both know what we're about and what we do, so everyone else will jump on board.
Yeah, I agree with you here.
I have to say that you kind of answered the last few of my questions in that one thing, but I will just I'm going to ask one question again because I'd like to hear a little bit more in detail. So you were saying how when you started your face-to-face, you kind of toyed with the idea and you came up with the interior design sketches, and that's what people love. So how did you come to that? Because like I was going, as I said, I was going through like back through your Instagram, going all the way down and seeing all the different types, seeing all the different types of sketches that you used to do. And
I think it's a great thing to see evolution of any person or any business. And as much as I hate looking at my drawers, I'm going to leave them there.
Oh, 100%. Like, because that's what made me come up with the question. Because I was thinking, oh, hey, like, how did you just think, right, I'm going to go with interior design? Like, how did that come to you?
Yeah. So, yeah, that's a great question. So as I said, I was like testing the ground for over a year, and I always loved like architecture, and I always loved like beautiful spaces and beautiful clothes. I was like very aesthetic person. And I was trying out different workshops, as I said, and I basically ended up doing a lot of urban sketching, like architecture in Italy, London, New York, whatever. And then I did a session on perspective because I thought that it's something different. It's a more technical workshop, and it's something that people want to learn, because I think how I sort of thought of it, but maybe I just did some sort of I asked a few people around or something like that. I can't remember, because I'm always like asking what people would want.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's always good to do.
Yeah, I think on one of the sessions I just asked my people who attended my workshop what they would like to learn, and they said, oh, you know, perspective would be great, because I can never like draw a house in like perspective or a room, whatever. So I thought, okay, I'll just do like a general perspective course, and it was mostly kind of orientated on both like architects and interior designers. It was like a big beginner session. And one of the designers attended the perspective course. She's probably not watching today, but she probably, maybe if she watches that, she will know that's her. And she came up to me after the session and she said, hey, I'm a student at KLC interior design school. And like, I loved your course. And I was like literally sweating because I thought that was so bad. Like, no, I'll never come back. And oh, I love your course, you know, can you teach me? And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, she was like, I mean, can you teach me? Do you do private session, like private lessons?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I do them. Yeah. And then I came home and I was like, oh my God, how the hell am I going to teach her? And so I have the artistic background, but still art is very different. There's like different sectors and fields that you can go into, and I sort of knew about perspective, but I wasn't like an absolute pro of it. So what I had to do is I had to learn. I had to also teach myself how to do it. Wow. In order to utilize the skill. Yeah. And I remember I started going to her and teaching her. Oh my God, now I'm embarrassed because she will find out that actually I wasn't. But anyway. And yeah, she was just always like very happy with what I was teaching her, and she really wanted to learn how to do this and this, and I thought that's actually interests me as well, you know, interiors. First of all, because it's a very sophisticated type of sketching, because you can do so many things and you can do such detailed like paintings pretty much with markers, or you can very quick draft sketches. And I was just really impressed with how I did it and how people really wanted to learn it. And I thought, this sounds really interesting. And then a few weeks after, literally, the pandemic happened. And I was like, okay, so I just started being really interested in this. I think I'm going to continue with it because I think people are also interested in this. And I was right. You know, I continued with it. And I tested out, and I was doing a few other workshops as well, but then I realized that no, it's actually, I'm not having the same attendee kind of like rates as I was having with perspective and interior design. And then I just started doing literally everything related to interior design: how to draw a bedroom, how to draw a bathroom, how to draw a curtain, and well, basically everything to do with interiors. And then I just focused on that. And I love it, to be honest. Like, I really do. And I took up courses as well. I learned how to enhance my skills too. So I think, yeah, that's basically how it all basically happened, and that's why I decided to focus on it. And then I just really felt good about helping someone who's got absolutely no clue how to draw, and they're not just spending time or meditating whilst doing it, they're actually learning a skill that they need in their profession. And for me, hearing people saying to me, oh my goodness, like I never thought I could draw a room, like I was so bad, I like my sketches were like cartoon drawings, whatever, like, you know, people tell this to me. And yeah, and just people saying, you know, I always loved art, but my parents always told me, no, art is not practical, you're not going to do it. You know what I mean? I get all sort of different stories. Yeah. And personally, to me, I think I'm kind of like this person who's like inspiring them and telling them, actually, you know, you can achieve a lot of things with that as well. And I mean, yeah, that just makes me really like proud for what I do. And I love that feeling. That it's very important for me to know that I'm actually helping people to achieve something. So
that's a great story. I love that story.
I've got lots of these.
She'll know now. If she watches this, if you're watching or when you watch it, please write below, because we'd all like to know.
Yeah, I love, to be honest. And actually, speaking of comments, we had one from RD Design Studio saying, great talk. That's very nice.
Oh, thank you.
Above, yeah, in case anyone will have questions, please feel free to drop them down here in case anyone is wondering. Yeah, so yeah, I've got many stories about how I started and how I'm still going, and I think my profile is very much about sharing that. I actually really enjoy sharing my business journey with everyone who's basically following me, who's reading my posts.
I think that's really important as well, because it's not, you know, we want to be as honest as we can, and we want to show who we are. We're not, you know, robots behind a screen. It's nice to actually meet the people and to get to know the people that are, you know, running the businesses and kind of giving the tips out, and people, you know, people are watching your page for a reason, and they're following you. There's a reason they clicked on follow. There's a reason that they interacted with you or sent you a message, and it's important to remember that, and to also make sure that we, you know, we show our personality side of things. I think there's so many people sometimes can get really worried about kind of putting that picture up, particularly on a business profile, you know, putting a picture up or putting a comment out, or even going on video. Some people hate being on video. Some people hate talking in public or being recorded, or and, you know, knowing where to look. And it's only because someone told me there's the green dot, and I'm like, oh, I never knew that. So like, it's one of those things where you just kind of think, you know, you want to be able to show your personality as much as you can. At the end of the day, if people get to know you, to understand your journey, to know why you do what you do, and to see your passion for what you do, it really helps them to just get to know and understand your business, and to understand, you know, why you have great testimonials, you know, why you're sharing the testimonials on your stories, and why, you know, we're giving out the tips and the tricks that we do, because we're there to help you basically, and that's what it's all about.
No, definitely. Yeah, it's true. So, and it's not like I'm doing it because I kind of, you know, have to or something like that. Not at all. I actually, if you realize that, you know, many businesses have they have their own strategies, right? There are certain like marketing rules, whatever you have to do, but I like really listen to how I feel, you know, about whatever I post and whatever I say. If I feel that I'm not resonating with what I'm saying, or it's not my philosophy, I think, you know what, actually I rather not do it, because, you know, I had a marketing manager and she was kind of giving me advices, and I thought, I actually don't like this advice. I'm not going to go with it because it's just not it's not what I want to build, right? No, and sometimes I think, oh my goodness, am I ever going to be successful if I'm not going to do all these things? But then I think, but who says what is success, right? For everyone, it's different.
It's different, yeah.
It's to earn $1 million. For someone, is to have a great following. For others, is just to be able to help people. We'll see. I think I allowed myself to kind of like be more me rather than be a business that wants to be profitable. We all want profitable, and it's something that we all strive for, but I think at what cost is very important, right? It's just
definitely.
Share, because it's something that's been kind of begging me, you know, for like months and months. I'm thinking, where am I heading with this? You know, how am I going to look at myself as well in a year?
At the end of the day, you know, you want to make sure that you're helping the people that you're following, or you're giving them a reason to want to follow you, basically, because everyone should have a reason for that. But it's also about knowing who you are as a person in a business, and being comfortable with that, and being confident with that, and being able to speak as yourself. I mean, we, you know, you're doing your courses, so people are going to hear your voice, and they're going to, you know, see you and understand, you know, and get to know you through that aspect, and through your channels as well. People get to know me through everything I do on social media. And if I didn't kind of come up and go, hey, hi guys, and, you know, make a fool of myself, or do random stories with no makeup on, or, you know, take weird pictures of my house and my artwork, people wouldn't really get to know me. And that's no fun for anybody, because no one's going to buy something, or want to learn something, or want to see more content from somebody that's just kind of just posting picture here and a picture there, and there's no background, there's no voice behind it. And people can really tell if you from how you talk and how you write. People can see that. And if you are, you know, visual, and you're writing content for your posts and stuff, and then you come on to video and you sound completely different, they know. Like you were saying, like, you have to kind of know your voice, and you have to be able to be comfortable with that. And there's no point of having a marketing assistant marketing manager coming in and going, I think you should do this, when actually you wouldn't do that. You would do something completely different. And maybe some people won't like that, but if you're comfortable with that, and that shows your personality and shows your business and shows you for who you are, then that's all that matters.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think it's something that's really been like bothering me, and now I realized, actually, you know, it's my life, it's my business.
Absolutely. And people, people want to know what they're getting as well. They want to know who they're talking to. And, you know, if I was to turn up on a consultation and I changed how I spoke, or I was really, really formal or really, really informal, people would be a bit like, hang on, that's not who I saw on Instagram, Facebook, the Instagram live. You know, you want people to understand who you are, but to also appreciate that as well, and to want to converse with you and interact with you and follow you because of who you are, and because that you're giving them the content, and you're helping them with their pain problem in life. And that's why we all do what we do. We just want to be helpful.
I think it's a great note to end our conversation on as well. Unfortunately, we have to end now because we literally get 1 hour to
okay, no problem.
Yeah. But it was amazing to get to know you, and I'm sure we'll do one in the future. We also have from Sandy and Ette saying great stories, ladies. So we had at least 2 people today, which is well done to us.
Awesome.
So, yeah, I will send the instructions of how to post this, and again, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me on. Thank you. Bye bye.